Hi everyone, Steve Swinburne here. Welcome to day 4 of Rejection Week. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate staying with me, hanging in there. Monday we read a picture book called Avocado and Escargot to Go. Tuesday we read Cockadoodle Snooze, another picture book. Yesterday, Wednesday, we read Hummingbird Heart, a nonfiction poetry book. And today I have maybe you call it a fictionalized nonfiction book called Ali's Boat. A few years ago, I visited India. Then the following year, I visited Bangladesh to visit international schools. And while I was in Bangladesh in particular, I learned about a wonderful, incredible environment called the Sundarbans. At the bottom of that country is this low-lying mangrove, sandy habitat called the Sundarbans, where incredible amount of wildlife exists, and people exist on those sand pits, those chars, C-H-A-R-S, chars, which are sandy islands. And this is an island of whole region is a region of monsoons and rising tides. And many climate scientists believe that it is ground zero for climate change. That as the ocean rises, that whole area will be inundated, and it's happening now. So I envisioned a story about a little boy who he and his family live on those chars, and it's about a little boy doing something to save his family. So without further ado, here's Ali's Boat. Ik dui teen cha. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ama, Abba, Mukta, Ali. Father, mother, Mukta, Ali. Ali always counted his family first, and then he counted other things. 86 fiddler crab holes in the mud, 27 days of monsoon rains, 15 plastic bottles in the water, and he counted the 6 inches of the Kunga River had risen in 1 month. Ali had never seen the river so high. Ali's family had lived beside the river for many years. They were poor, but the waters gave fish and shrimp. Ali's father grew jute, the strongest natural fiber in the world, along the mud bank. Ali's mother wove the jute fibers into market bags. The family wheeled the raw jute and woven bags to the ferry landing along the riverside and paid the ferryman to take them to the village downstream. They'd once had more land on the narrow char, but every season the river rose and swallowed the earth. Only a few families remained on the char. "The great Kunga River is a hungry river," said Ali's mother. Ali wondered if the river would get so hungry it would gobble them up. Sticky from the noonday sun, Ali and his friend Taj jumped into the river. The water swirled around Ali's legs. He counted. 12 boats, 32 plastic bottles, 44 waves gnawing at the riverbank, and then Ali measured the Kunga. "I count 7 inches of river has risen this month," he said, and he watched the swollen waters whittle away the sandy edge. "Taj, I have an idea," Ali said, snatching 2 nearby bottles. "What if I built a boat of plastic bottles?" "You are crazy. It will not work." "Taj, this river is an angry tiger. It devours the land. I worry the river might eat my family. We need a boat." Thunder rumbled from low clouds like blocks thrown by angry children. At first, Ali tied a few bottles together with strips of plastic bags, but the bottles sank as they filled with water. When he saw a bottle with a cap on floating down the river, he thought, "I need bottles with caps, then they will float." Weeks later, the family sat in their small shack. Ali listened as the rain drummed on the tin roof. Amma squeezed rice into a ball to feed his little sister, Mukta. "How is your boat?" his mother said. "Every day I add bottles, but listen to how hard the rain falls. What if I don't finish in time and the river gets too big?" The Kunga has never reached us, said Ali's father. But this year it has rained so much, Ali said, thinking of the 30 steps from their house to the river. One day, Ali and Taj were playing by the river in the small village. Ali collected 4 bottles and dropped them into his jute bag. How goes your boat, Tokai? Garbage collector, said Taj with a grin. Ali didn't listen to Taj teasing. He studied the boats bobbing in the high water. How many plastic bottles will I need to finish my boat? He thought. 200? 500? Once on a baking hot afternoon, Ali's mother held out a big jute bag. Go tie more bottles together and make your boat safe, she smiled. Ali dashed outside and saw a band of monkeys stealing his pile of bottles. He chased after them, shouting, Jai, Jai! Shoo, shoo. Day after day, Ali tied bottles together, keeping a wary eye on the river. The monsoon season had begun in early June with afternoon cloudbursts. By August, the Kunga groaned like the belly of a hungry beast. The sides of your boat look strong, said Amma one day in early fall. So many bottles. I count 1,752, said Ali. It must carry 4 people. I hope it works. Does your boat have a name, she said. It's good luck to name your boat. I call her Jibito, alive. It's a fine name. Over his mother's shoulders, Ali could see dark curtains of heavy rain approaching from the open sea. That night, Ali fell asleep sometime between the shaking of the tin roof and the gusts whipping through the cracks in the walls. Ali, come quick, Abba called in the early light of dawn. Ali sprang from his sleeping mat. He splashed outside. The monsoon-filled river flooded their char. Ali helped his mother save her weaving supplies. He piled 2 large jute bags on top of pots, pans, and tins of rice. Help, pull this cart, yelled Abba. We must get to higher ground. They tugged, but the overladen cart bogged down in the thick mud and fast-rising water. Leave it, pleaded Amma, clutching Mukta. We'll drown if we don't leave. Look at this furious river. Brown waters churned against their legs. The river had cut off the char. We can't get to the village, Ali's father shouted. Will your boat hold us? It is a strong boat, Abba. Ali felt small and soaked, swamped by the great flood, but inside he burned with pride. Okay, everyone, hurry. The family clambered aboard Jabito. The boat pitched on the waves, tugging at her anchor line like a wild horse. Ali's father yanked a bamboo stick from the char to use as a pole. Ali hardly breathed. Would his boat work? Jabito rode high on the waves, and the surges of water carried them on. Ali counted the waves, and he counted his breaths. The little plastic bottle boat bobbed and drifted, borne on a current of hope. Soon the storm abated. Jabito eased into a sheltered cove ringed by mangrove trees. The boat grounded on a wide sandbar. Ali looked at his family. Ik, Dewey, Teen, Cha, Amma, Abba, Mukta, Ali. It was a good count. The end. So there's a glossary in the back of this book with Ik, Dewey, Teen, Cha, 1, 2, 3, 4, Bangladeshi words, Amma, Abba, Mukta, Ali, Mama, Papa, Mukta, Ali, Tokai, garbage collector, Jabito, alive, Jai, Jai, when the monkeys come after his bottles, go away, shoo, shoo, and finally Char, which is a mudflat. So originally this was called Rahul's boat, but I had 2 Bangladeshi citizens read this and 2 international school educators. And one of their comments was this: we are suggesting that you change the name of the main character, which was Rahul, Hindu named Rahul, to a more Muslim identifiable name like Ali. According to the 2015 census here in Bangladesh, 90% of the population is Muslim. A second change we are suggesting is the river's name. Originally I had the name of Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra, although a huge river system that spans several countries, actually it heads toward the Sundarban area, becomes known by other names. We chose the Kunga River, as it seemed to the Bangladeshis who were editing with me to be most like your descriptions of the area. And finally, there's some back matter. How I talk about an author's note, how I was inspired to write this because of my interest and understanding of the Sundarbans. Sundarbans meaning beautiful forest. Jute, a little section about jute, dubbed the golden fiber, is one of nature's strongest vegetable fibers. Plastic bottles, some information about plastic bottles. Did you know all plastic is made from oil? Americans use about 50 billion plastic water bottles every year. Only 23% of them are recycled. About 38 billion water bottles are thrown away each year. Scientists estimate it takes 450 years for a plastic bottle to decompose. Bangladesh by the numbers. According to climate scientists, Bangladesh is the country most at risk from the impacts of climate change. Sea level rise is causing the fragile islands of the Sundarbans to disappear. Some scientists predict 1/3 of Bangladesh could be underwater by 2050. 160 million people live in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the size of Iowa. And finally, because it's such a water-covered country, children in Bangladesh are surrounded by open waters such as rivers, lakes, ponds, ditches, and the ocean. Drowning claims the lives of approximately 50 children a day in Bangladesh. The International Drowning Research Center in Bangladesh works to prevent this terrible loss of life by conducting swimming instruction throughout the country. You can learn more about Swim Safe, as well as donating to the program by clicking on the link below. And finally, to Ali's boat, Rejections. Thank you for sharing this new iteration of Rahul's boat for me to have a look. You've definitely increased the tension, and I still like Rahul a lot. Remember, Rahul was my previous name, it's now Ali. Alas though, even after all the revisions, I'm really sorry to report that I just don't think this is right for me. Part of me isn't sold on Rahul's counting, and part of me is worried about you telling this story after spending only 2 weeks in the region. I decided that I have to pass. I wish I had better news, of course, and I hope you find the right publisher soon. Number 2. What a lovely piece of picture book writing. The text is lyrical and concise, and I like Rahul. He senses something that the adults don't, impending danger. The narrative has elements of suspense. It's as though it works like a rubber band stretching to the limits until, snap, Rahul, come quick. The elements of suspense are in place, but they need to be heightened, and I think it's a matter of emphasizing them. It seems that Rahul's conflict is the rising river and time. He's in a race against both, but there comes a point in the story where the energy dips and the story goes slack, and that's the middle of the story. Middles are often a problem. The counting sequences work well, a great way to frame the story. You might think about applying the rule of 3 and adding one more. Number 3, Rejection. We've read the latest draft several times, and we've been pondering it on and off for weeks. We've always shared your fascination with this corner of the world, where the rivers change the landscape so quickly and dramatically, affecting the lives of many. But we get the sense that your story was constructed to showcase the setting rather than the characters that populate your setting. The challenge is always how to connect such a great setting with believable characters in a story that will appeal to kids. The biggest reason for the delay is that we find ourselves with the same concerns we've shared with you before, and we've been trying to figure out how to move ahead. At this point, we have to question if we're being helpful to you or if we just aren't connecting with your vision of the story. Here are the issues we've discussed in the past which we believe are still relevant. 1, there seems to be There doesn't seem to be a clear or logical cause and effect chain. Instead, we get the feeling that you're trying to make up a story to fit the facts. The idea that no one but Rahul is prepared for the inevitable flooding, which happens every year, correct, is hard to believe. There are so many characters and scenes that the story feels cluttered and the pacing feels irregular. The voices sound flat and the relationship between characters are not believable. The ending feels rushed and uncertain and doesn't underline the theme/takeaway. Unfortunately, there's no quick or easy fix to address these issues. We suspect that in order to shape this into a picture book, you need to take time to dig into the characters and figure out what the story is really about, which pieces of information are absolutely essential to the story, and how to best to arrange the story pieces so they flow smoothly. Also, it might be helpful to read your favorite picture books, fiction and nonfiction, and dissect the text. So there you have it. Ali's Boat, Rejection, day number 4. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.